Hi guys, it's the weekend, which means it's time for another edition of Technoholik, where we give you all the latest technology, all new fancy gadgets and gizmos, and have a whole lot of fun with it. I'm not going to do this by myself, obviously. With me are the guys Varun Singh and Sagar Gokhale, and today is a very, very special show. So first things first, take a look at what's coming up on the show today. It was a big week in technology. Plenty happened. We wrap up the news for you. The iPad 2 finally launches in India. Check out that and a whole host of gadgets in our weekend picks. But up first, we cannot deny the Android invasion. We've got something special for all the fans of this rising operating system. Okay, so the reason this week is very special because we're not getting you a gadget of the week, we're not getting you gadget picks of the week like we did last time. This week we're focusing on the biggest trend there is right now, and that is Android.
Yep.
Of course, you've heard that a lot of Android phones come in every single day, but which one should you get? There are so many phones to choose from. So today we decided to give you an Android buying guide. We're going to take all the phones together, tell you which phone you should buy in every single category. But before we get into what Android phones are out there, which one you should get, Varun, what should a person look at when you're buying an Android phone? This is different from buying a phone, right?
Well, for me, the first thing you should be looking at when buying an Android phone is making sure that it's the right screen resolution. So it needs to be either HVGA, which is 480 by 320. That's the standard resolution. So basically, VGA is 640 by 480. That's the resolution which is VGA. This is HVGA, which means that's cut into half, literally.
Right.
Okay. Then the other resolution, which is very, very common, is WVGA. That's
WVGA.
wide VGA. So that's 800 by 480.
Okay.
Okay. So you're talking about at least one of the aspect ratios matching in these two. Why am I saying that these two resolutions are recommended? Well, because this is the most common resolutions for the low end and the high end. So these are the resolutions where most of the apps are compatible. They don't have a problem.
There's no problem.
Everything works smoothly, and they're optimized for those screen sizes.
Okay.
Then the second thing that's very important, all Android phones are touch screens, but obviously some touch screens are better than the other. So capacitive touch screens, which is pretty much the same technology that's used on the iPhone 4 or the iPad, the multi-touch capable screens, that's capacitive screen. So you should always buy an Android handset with a capacitive screen, not without one. The third thing is you need to make sure you have a very fast processor, because Android is quite power hungry. I mean, it needs a good processor. You need to make sure that you have at least a 600 megahertz processor if you're going in for the lower screen size, and at least a 1 gigahertz processor, or at least 800 megahertz if you're going in for a higher screen size. So that's basically what I would look for. And these three are, truly speaking, to me, primary for all users.
Since most of the Android builds, the Android phones have their own interfaces on top, like HTC has their HTC Sense, Samsung has their own interface on top. Does that make any difference while buying an Android phone?
In fact, my opinion is that there are some which are better, but that's not necessarily a good idea, because what happens as a result of that is that for them to port it to the new Android build takes longer, and everything else as a result of that takes longer. So now, if you have an option and you can buy a plain Google experience phone, you'll get faster OS updates, everything else will be faster. So preferably go for plain old Android. If you need to go for anything else, go for HTC Sense.
Sagar, you're a big user of HTC Sense. You liked it on the Incredible S. How much does having another interface on top of the Android boot make sense to you? Would that be your concerning factor?
See, this is my biggest, as Varun just said it, that upgrades don't come very easily. Obviously, I do like the HTC Sense UI, which is brilliant, it's good to use, but now we have evolved to a space where we need to upgrade things. It isn't the same thing as buying a phone and living with it for the next 3 years without changing anything on it. The best part is that you can change your phone every 1 month, every 2 months. So yes, I do like the Sense UI, but I would go with the plain old Android.
Okay, Varun, so the definitive list is it has to have a capacitive touchscreen, processor has to be good, over 600 megahertz. You should be having a good screen resolution, HVGA or WVGA, and preferably use the Android build over the HTC, or if you need something else, go with the HTC Sense. Okay, so now that we've got the checklist, let's get into the good stuff and give you which phones that you need to get in the Android buying season, and we've divided them into 3 categories. There's low range, mid range, and high range. Low range are the phones below 10K, high range are the phones obviously buy whatever you want, spend as much money as you want, and the mid-range is the place that most people are going to buy phones from, that is 10K to 20K. Okay, so let's start with the low-range phones first, and we have a couple of options. 5 phones in this category. Check out the specs and the price.
Android phones sound geeky, but the entry-level Android phones are priced very decently. First up is the Spice MI310. It's an Android 2.2 Froyo powered phone having a 3.15-inch display up front. At the back, it features a decent 2-megapixel camera. Spice MI310 is priced at Rs 9,000. Next up is the Samsung Galaxy Pop S5570. This low-range Android phone from Samsung features a 3.2-inch display up front and a 3.2-megapixel camera at the back. Pop runs on Android 2.2 Froyo and is priced at Rs 9,000. Now if you want something even more economical, Micromax gives you its Andro A60. The A60 runs on Android 2.1, supports 3G connectivity, and at the back features a 3.2-megapixel camera. Andro is priced at just Rs 6,000. Next contender in the low-range Android phones is the Samsung Galaxy 5. The Galaxy 5 is loaded with Android 2.1 OS and features a 2.8-inch display up front. At the back, it has a 2-megapixel camera and is priced at Rs 8,500. Finally, the last good option in low-range Android phones is the Huawei Ideos U8150. This phone runs on Android 2.2, features a 2.8-inch touchscreen up front and a 3.2-megapixel camera at the back. Huawei Ideos U8150 is priced at Rs 8,500.
Okay, so you just checked out the 5 options in the low-range category. There's anything from Micromax to Samsung to everything else. Now let's get to picking the phones, guys. We each get to pick one phone out of this category, all below 10K. Let's start with Sagar, your pick.
Well, I think the Spice one, I've felt it, I've played with that phone. It's the best build quality. Has got a nice 2-megapixel camera, it's easy. Although it's in a low-range segment, is actually a mid-ranger. It's losing that price only because of maybe the tag, but the best part is that this phone performs really well. It's a nice, fast phone, under 10K.
So that's the thing actually, it's quite a good phone. I mean, it's got a decent 600 MHz CPU, which is actually overclockable, so you can take it all the way up to 800 MHz if you root it, and it's really not a problem. It supports Gingerbread because it is an unlocked bootloader.
And the best part is that it does everything right. It does your mail right, apps right, the screen size is perfect. I actually tried scrolling through a lot of websites, everything. The experience was very, very good for a sub 10,000 category phone.
So the Spice phone is a win-win for both you guys?
It's a true smartphone for 8,000 rupees. I mean,
That
what
is
more can you
brilliant
ask
pricing.
for? What more can you ask for?
Exactly. And I also am in this, although I don't support Android too much, but yes, if I had to pick a phone for 8,000 bucks, I'd also pick the Spice MI310. So that's our winner, the unanimous winner from the low-range category. Moving on to the mid-end category, which is phones from 10K to 20K. Take a look at the contenders.
Let's move to the bigger league of Android-powered phones for you to buy. They offer better design, better build quality, and are power-packed. First up is the Motorola Defy. It is powered by Android 2.1, has a 3.7-inch touch display, a 5-megapixel camera, great build quality, and is priced at Rs 17,000. Next comes the Samsung with its Ace. The Samsung Galaxy Ace runs on Android 2.2 Froyo. Up front, it has a 3.5-inch display, a 5-megapixel camera with LED flash at the back, and is priced at Rs 15,500. LG Optimus also makes it to the mid-range Android phones category. It sports a 3.2-inch capacitive touchscreen up front and a 3.2-megapixel camera at the back. LG Optimus runs on Android 2.2 Froyo and is priced at Rs 11,000. Next two phones in the mid-range Android war are the PC makers. Dell XCD35 runs on Android 2.1 OS and is powered by an ARM11 600 MHz processor. Up front, it has a 3.5-inch display and is loaded with a 3.2-megapixel camera at the back. The second Android phone is the Acer Liquid Mini. It runs on Android 2.2 Froyo and features a 5-megapixel camera at the back. Both Dell XCD35 and Acer Liquid Mini are priced at Rs 12,000.
Okay, so all good contenders in the mid-range category, the Defy, the Samsung Galaxy Ace, the LG Optimus P500 and the Acer Liquid Mini.
Yeah.
Varun, your pick, I know it's the Samsung. I don't even have to ask, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the perfect phone. It's got everything going for it. And again, it looks just like a Galaxy S. So there's really nothing as far as looks is concerned or anything like that.
This is the LCD version.
This is obviously this is the LCD version. It's got a 800 MHz processor, which is actually quite a good processor at that price range. Fairly decent camera, 3.2 megapixels, and overall it's quite a good phone.
Samsung Ace is a win for Varun. Sagar, please tell me it's the LG. You cannot also be a Samsung guy.
Unfortunately, this is the Samsung case. I think in this category, this phone really comes out trumps. Great fit finish. I'm saying this again and again, but in this one, the camera quality is actually nice.
Yeah.
The UI works for me. It's not as great as the HTC UI, but the Samsung UI is not that bad also. And I think in this price point, I think this is the clear-cut winner.
So this is the point of time in the show when I don't agree with you guys, because my mid-ranger is the LG Optimus P500.
And I totally understand why.
Purely for the reason is because when the first time we saw this, it looks very good, and it was the cheapest phone then.
Yeah.
It was the cheapest phone when it launched, and I actually played with the phone and I liked it. Okay, so there are two options in this category. That's the Samsung Galaxy Ace and the LG Optimus P500. It's available for about 10,500 bucks. And you can get the Ace for about 14,200, as Varun says. Okay, so you guys have a lot of options to choose your phones from. And with that, it's the wrap of this segment.
Don't go anywhere. Our Android buying guide is not done yet. Next, we get you all the high-range phones that money can buy.